If you have seen this word HUE on paint tubes and you wonder what it means, well, this video is for you. Generally speaking, we refer to colors as, well, colors, like yellow, red, blue, purple, violet, greens. We talk about limited color palettes, what colors are we going to buy at the art shop today. But technically speaking, colors are also known as hues. When you see the word hue, it just means a modern pigment or alternative pigments are used to recreate the original look of that color. So in this case here, this is the Daler Rowney Gumbosh hue. It's made with PY3 and PY153. Daniel Smith's new Gumbosh now uses the pigments PY97 and PY110. It used to be PY153, so this new formula for some reason doesn't have the word hue behind it. My Marie Blue also has a Gumbosh hue, and this is made with the pigment PY139. This is Winsor & Newton new Gumbosh made with PY150 and PR209. This is Schminker's Yellow Orange. It's not new Gumbosh, but it's made with PY153, the pigment that Daniel Smith used to make their version of new Gumbosh. So all these are variations of new Gumbosh. Some have the word hue, some are not even called new Gumbosh. All the paint here use different formulas to create new Gumbosh. So the colors are going to look slightly different. So the names actually just give you basically a suggestion of what the color will look like. In this case, a warm yellow. Personally, for me, whether or not a color is a hue or not a hue doesn't really matter as long as the color looks like the one I intend to buy. These are color swatches of different new Gumbosh. This from Winsor & Newton, Daler Rowney, Daniel Smith, My Marie Blue, and Schminker. These four look rather similar. The version from Winsor & Newton looks more yellow, less warm. I have labeled here PY153. I may have labeled this wrongly because I took this info from an old Winsor & Newton brochure. The new formula is actually PY150 and PR209. So I went ahead to swatch the new formula and it looks kind of similar. So I may have labeled this wrongly. This looks more yellow and less warm, probably due to PY150, which is nickel azo yellow, or some other brands like to call it transparent yellow. Anyway, it's not uncommon for a single pigment to produce different colors. Think about PR101 or PBR7 or PG50, which can be cobalt teal or cobalt green, or PV19 also has different variations. So in this case, for Daler Rowney and My Marie, they have the word hue to their names, but it doesn't really matter because we don't know what the original Gumbosh or new Gumbosh should look like. These are all just different variations of the so-called original. Let's take a look at another color. This is Cerulean from Winsor & Newton, uses the pigment PY40. This is Cerulean, aka Cobalt Yellow, from Daniel Smith, also uses the pigment PY40. And this is Cerulean Hue from Schminker. This uses PY151. So these two look pretty similar. Even though these two don't use the same pigment, they still look kinda similar. The thing with cobalt yellow or PY40 is sometimes you can see that little bit of extra granulation here and here. It's easier to achieve a flatter, a more even wash with PY150. Cerulean is supposed to be cobalt yellow, so Cerulean Hue from Schminker, this is a rather good name in the sense that it's not cobalt yellow, it uses PY150, but the look is very similar to the original Cerulean, and PY151 is considered more light fast to PY40. There are a few reasons why certain colors are now hues rather than the original. So for example, with Manganese Blue Hue, the original Manganese Blue is toxic, so this version, the hue version, it's considered safer from the environment, and interestingly this uses the pigment PB15. So this look is supposed to mimic the original manganese blue, so you can see the light blue with granulation. This color is actually quite beautiful. Another reason is the original color may not be light fast, so when exposed to light long enough, the color will fade. So that's why some manufacturers would make alternatives or different versions of the original color. So in this case, on the left side, we have Rose Madder Genuine made by Winsor & Newton, which uses the pigment NR9. And on the right side, we have Rose Madder Permanent made by Daniel Smith, uses the pigments PR209, PV19, and PR202. So this color, this was created to look like the original Rose Madder Genuine. It even has the granulation. Here it's called Rose Madder Permanent. Actually, you can call this Rose Madder HUE as well. Some artists may still prefer the original or genuine version, maybe because of how the color looks, how it mixes with other colors, or the granulation, or for some other reason. But this is not light fast, so it's not recommended to use this to create art with the intention of selling that art. If you use this in sketchbooks, it's alright, but if you want the permanent or light fast version, there are other manufacturers that make the permanent or the HUE versions of Rose Madder Genuine. And these are swatches for quinacridone gold. Actually, they should all be called quinacridone gold HUE because the original quinacridone gold from Daniel Smith is PY49. The new formula uses PO48 and PY150. For Winsor & Newton, they use PY150, PR206, and PV19. For Schminker, they use PY150 and PR101. So all these are not the original PY49, and they should be called HUE, especially for Daniel Smith because they actually released the original version before, and this is the new formula. So it would be more accurate to call this a quinacridone gold HUE. Anyway, the name is just a suggestion of how the colors look. You should really see how the colors look when they are swatched out, or search online for reviews for the actual swatches to see how the colors look. These are different variations of Cerulean Blue or Cerulean. So the interesting color is this one, Cerulean Blue HUE from Schminker, which uses the pigment PB153, which is actually phthalo blue green shade, and that's mixed with PW4. The overall mix is still very phthalo blue to me. Now when I think of Cerulean Blue, I think of a light blue with beautiful granulation, a paint that you can squeeze out from the tube and paint directly onto the paper without the color appearing too glaring or overpowering. So this is definitely not what I have in mind when I think of Cerulean Blue. What I have in mind is something like this. This is Daniel Smith's Cerulean Blue PB35. And this is Schminker's Cerulean Blue, also PB35. You can see the granulation with Daniel Smith's version, it's more noticeable. And this is Cerulean Blue Chromium PB36 from Daniel Smith. It also has very beautiful granulation. Now the Cerulean from Schminker, it's called Cobalt Azure. And you can see the granulation here, it's very fine, very fine. And Cobalt Cerulean, the granulation here, it's also very fine. This is PB36. So I'm not too sure what's the original Cerulean Blue Schminker has in mind when they created this color. Anyway, if you like the light blue granulating Cerulean Blue, go with Winsor & Newton or Daniel Smith. Daniel Smith's versions are really nice. So as you can see in this video, whether or not the paint is a HUE or not a HUE, it doesn't really matter. Even for paint that are not HUEs, they also have like different formulas to recreate the color. So what matters most is how the color actually looks when it's painted on paper. When I started learning watercolor, I used to think that hues are inferior compared to other colors that are not hue, and also inferior in quality compared to original pigments, but that is definitely not true. A good example is rose madder permanent or rose madder hue that is created to reproduce the same look as rose madder genuine. Cerulean hue is also a good alternative or hue. PY151 is definitely more light fast compared to Cerulean cobalt yellow PY40. Oh, the last reason why manufacturers may create hues is because they ran out of the original pigment. So for example, PO49, which is used to create Crayon Gold, that has been discontinued, as well as PY153, that's used to make new gumbosh, that has been discontinued by many manufacturers as well. Alright, I hope this video is helpful. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel for more watercolor related videos. Oh, before you go, just want to let you know that I am selling off some excess watercolor paint. Just check out the list of colors I'm selling using the link that I have for you in the video description below. Thanks for watching. See you guys again. Bye!